Hello everyone, this is Blender Guppy. Welcome to a demo video for the Creative Bundle add-ons. So in this video, I'm going to show you how you can make city section templates with random flow. So a bunch of building that make up a block or a section of the city. So you can use it for scattering. Um, you can use this square grid, square setup or rectangular. Let's choose rectangular. Okay, next up, we're going to use random panels to create a division on different blocks or create streets. And then from those islands that make up the streets, we're going to make the buildings. So random panels, increase the resolution. So right now, what I'm using is the updated version, which only I have and it's not yet on the store, but the workflow stays the same. Okay, so you can still copy this. The only difference is that I have min and max on my panel size. Yeah, panel size, but this doesn't really affect the workflow that I'm using you, that I'm showing you. Okay, so margin, let's increase the margin and also increase the panel size. And let's look for a pattern. So I'm going to use the same amount in the minimum. So we have the same setup. Okay, this could work. Let's reduce the cuts. Okay, let's use this and increase the margin. So this will be the street. And after this, select the randomized object. Okay, we have a problem with this. We need because of the margin, the increased margin, it pushed out the verts and made the faces like that. So we're going to actually make this not twisted because the result will be twisted as well. So we're going to align this. Okay, so selecting this and selecting this, pressing period, use active element as the pivot point. So when I select these two verts here and use this as the pivot point, the active element, and scale it to the x-axis and push 0, now this aligns this vertices to this active vertex there. And selecting these vertices here and using this as a pivot point, the active element, scale it to the y-axis and press 0. Same here as well. Doing this using the pivot point and to the y-axis. Okay, and now we're going to create the buildings. But first, let's make the faces even squares, mostly even squares. Okay, so in your version, you already have this when you use the random operators, Shift Q and random panels, for example, press Alt and click on the operator, and it will uh, select the faces based on the normal. So it works like a coplanar or rather linked flat faces. So it works like that, and the angle you can control here in the settings. So right now it's using 15 degrees linked. Select sharpness. So under 15 degrees, the faces will be selected. So you can just select faces like this. For example, one face per island, and then I'll click on the button. This works on most operators, random operators, and then let's reduce the margin, and I'm going to use radial, and increase the height. So in top view, you see the street, our street right there, and these are the city blocks. And we need to control the sizes of the buildings to make it look like, to make them look smaller individually. So reduce the panel size. Let's use number instead of percent, and reduce it to 6, 5. So I'm going to use the same number for the minimum. So even if you don't have this yet, you can still follow with the workflow that I'm showing you. So this is good. So let's try and randomize this out. This I think this T building can also work. There's not a lot of T buildings. Okay, this is random seed number one. You can always go back. Try and remember the seed that you like, and then you can always go back by manually entering that value. You can also use triangulation, uh, slanted areas. The only problem with triangulation is that it follows the subdivision. So in the future, I will fix this and use an algorithm that will create a triangulation on a diagonal pattern instead of just individual faces being triangulated. That's for the future update. Okay. Number one works, I think. Yeah, let's use this. Uh, so in this case, they are separate. Let's do a margin. Decrease the inset thickness. So this is the thickness, the size of the inset, 0.01, 0.005, and increase the margin. Where is the margin? There we go. So each building has a bit of separation. So I'm going to show you, now you can already use this for scatter. Okay. So this is your building right here. You can use geometric nodes for scattering this, or use random scatter operator. So let's create another object right here. This is going to be our scatter object. This is our scatter object, and this is our uh, scatter area, or scatter faces, or faces that will be scattered on. Okay, let's rename this to building. Oh my god. Building scatter. You can see the letters are too small. Building scatter. Okay. Or maybe I can just name it B1. Oh, okay. Um, so let's use random scatter, mesh, and then building, building scatter. Okay, wait, let's Alt H and select this, push this back there, and then building scatter. Okay, so right now, this is using random scaling. You can randomly scale it first. Okay, run. Okay, so that's not gonna work. Okay, uniform scaling, and we're going to um, randomize its rotation. And you can see that it's not really looking right because this needs to be angular. The set of sections needs to be angular relative to each other. We can use 90 degrees. Is still not right because at the moment, the way this randomizes is at at number one seed, there is no randomization. So you can manually input the value that you want. So numbers above number one, value one will have randomization. But the randomization will be from minimum of the input value, which means that in this case 90 degrees, and then the maximum is 90 degrees, positive 90 degrees. So the numbers between those will be the ones that will be randomized for the location. So 90 degrees. So it's not really looking right. But in the next update, you will have the rotation mode. If you're looking at this video as an old video, then you already have this probably. So this means that using this strict, then the randomization will only happen at the division quotient of the 300. So for example, we have 90 degrees here. Division quotient of 360 degrees divided by 90. So all the division that would happen using the 90 degrees. So 180, 270, and then 360 degrees. So using strict. And you can see that randomizing it, of course, well, we now have the right behavior for the randomization. Okay. But if you don't have this yet, then what you can do is, let's duplicate this. If you don't have the rotation mode yet, as you're seeing this video, then you can use this. Rotate this way, then copy it again, rotate it this way, then this one, rotate it this way. Then select all the objects, Control A, and apply the rotation. And then with the object selected, Control G, F9 to rename the group, so they don't automatically be assigned to the collection group, which is by default. So we're going to name B1. Okay, and then in the scatter collections, B1. There we go. So if you um randomize this, it acts like the rotation, okay, that I showed you. If you don't have this yet, because this is for the update above 2.5. So that's for the scattering that you can use um, it for. And then the next, that's for the scattering technique. And then the next one I'm going to show you is how to detail this. So you have your base. The detail, you can use texture, the detail. Instead of geometry, you can use texture for the detail. Using this as base, this to be lighter. You can also reduce the resolution using X and limited dissolve. It will produce n-gons, but this is a static object that will mostly be rendered afar, so it's not really a problem. So just to make it lighter, you can do that. So for detailing, um, okay, detailing, we can either use plate insets or quick displacement. So let's use plate insets first in this building. So this has too many phases for a single operation. So for the random operators, if there are too many phases, then use them intermittently on divided areas of the mesh. So on yeah on sections of the mesh, you can divide the phases. So for example, you can start with these phases first. So instead of using all of the phase at once, and this will of course slow down the operation. So instead of using the all of the phases at once, you can start with smaller areas and then just build up until you get the entire mesh. So for example, this one, we're going to use plate inset. Plate inset is destructive, it's not non-destructive. So the changes will be on the mesh. Tolerance is 1. Subdivide. So this is just the triangulation. Minimum and the maximum. So these are the sizes of the plates. So yeah. So this is providing some geometric breakup. The detail is providing is breaking up the inner and outer spaces, and it creates an um interesting mesh instead of just using this base. So this combined with texture, then you can have a really good result. And then the next one. So I subdivided the face To get more details, remember I use subdivision on the redo panel, and to um, to merge this new detail to the entirety of the mesh, the entire mesh also gets subdivided. So these details use this kind of resolution, so we don't need to actually subdivide again. We already have the resolution needed to get this one here. But in some areas, like this one, we need to provide additional edge loops to make this areas have more faces for the script to work with. So slowly but surely. So we're not using subdivision anymore. We already set it up in this part here. And by the way, you can use it. You can use this in edit mode, and L to select this island. Press L hotkey. You can use this in edit mode. Um, you can create a shortcut to get rid of the overlay. Okay, and then Alt A. So without looking at the overlay, Alt A, I know it deselected those faces. Then L, it selected these faces here, and then randomize. But I need to, of course, increase the faces here. So yeah, L, get rid of the overlay, and there we go. You can, of course, do, for example, in this situation, I can do two buildings at once. I just have to modify the plate inset size because there are more faces to deal with, or three if you want to. So uh, the uh, the main purpose of that is, of course, taking the task of detailing the mesh of this resolution by sections instead of the entire mesh, which will of course slow down the operator. If we use this, look, it will probably crash. Um, yeah, there we go. But it's too slow. So if I modify any of this, it will have to um, think or execute the script with the same time elapsed as the one before. So it's gonna be long. So that's the method. So for random operators like loop extrude panels, you can use this technique to the by area or by sections method of detailing the mesh instead of using it on the entire faces. Okay, so that's detailing using plate insets. So this detail, think of this as secondary detail, and with the tertiary, you can achieve it using textures. Okay, and next up is the wait. I need to increase the faces though for each building. So how do I achieve that? Oh, okay. Um, Shift G, direction, WS, and increase the resolution here. Cool. Okay, so selecting this line, this edge, Shift G, direction, W, S. So I pressed S, see the underlined letter. So WS, or you can do W and then click on subdivide. So WS, press F9 to bring up the redo panel of the last operation. The last operation is the subdivide, and then increase the number of cuts. Make sure that the faces are even areas. So quick displacement, it can also do multiple objects. So we can going to separate this first. Instead of using quick displacement on the entire object, since it will subdivide the entire object, I'm going to use this instead by loose parts. So now they are separate objects. So I can do this 1, 2, 3. So I can join them after I have displaced them. I can join them later on, select them all, and then Control J to join them as a single object. So right now I can quick displace these objects by groups. Okay, let's load up an image of a displacement of our displacement. Let's use this one. Uh, so these are J's placement. These are J's placement textures, and these are the textures that I created using random flow on a simple plane, square plane. So I will be more active in Patreon, and will be my gimmick in Patreon will be this. So the um, textures you can use for your objects as normals, complete with AO and normals and base color and all that. So that will be my gimmick there. And every post will be free. Okay, so yeah, quick displacement and image. Select the image and then increase the cut. Instead of objects, use UV. Oh no, we need to UV this. So let's do a quick one. Smart GB project, and then quick displacement. Select the image. Press select UV, and then increase the resolution. Reduce the strength. So displacement, with live displacement on the geometry, this needs a lot of faces to actually displace the image or show you the displaced image. But the more faces, the more accurate it will be. But of course, the more faces, the slower your render will be. Or you can increase the amount of faces to have a more accurate displacement. But you can reduce the faces using this decimation. But if you use decimation on an ultra high res mesh, it will of course create it will of course be very slow. So what we're aiming here for is the um, not too high of a resolution and show us still have the fidelity of the detail that we want. So let's use 10 subdivision. We can spy on the resolution using the X-ray, Zaggle X-ray, not X-ray, the wireframe, solid wireframe. So you can spy on the resolution using the wireframe view, but still keep the redo panel intact. because viewing the wireframe does not have is not considered an action which has an editor or a redo panel. So F9, the last operation is still maintained. Okay, so let's use just 10 subdivision. Filter size is kind of like blur, and it will soften up the displacement like that. Okay, so let's see if we increase the texture, the subdivision size. We can also increase the size. So this is destructive. Okay, so the you can use this this is destructive, which means that the mesh will be the original mesh will be destroyed. Okay, that, and then selecting our buildings again. Displacement, use the image, and increase the cuts. Use UV. Oh, we haven't UV this, so yeah. Hide this. Selecting this and go to edit mode and smart UV project. So that's okay because these are all angular objects and they're pretty basic. So the smart UV project works wonders with that kind of geometry. Quick displacement. This object here, image 10. And filter size is probably too much. So 5. So it's quite different. I think this I thought it'd be the same as this one. But apparently it probably differs based on the dimensions of the object. Okay, so they're not too heavy, and they're not too the resolution is not too high, and using decimate on this will be faster. This one, and it's a bit weird. Selecting the image again and increasing the resolution. Okay, so this maintains the we have subdivided this and displaced it, but this has maintained its UV. So you can use UV for the texture coordinate for the shader that you are using for this. So again, geometric details and then combined with some tertiary details using textures, and you can have a really good looking set of buildings. So this is using plate insets or quick displacement. This is of course using geometric details and textures as a combo or combination to create convincing models. So you can, so I've shown you the, you can use this as a base. So you can use this as just this, a basic mesh, and use textures to generate all the details, or the second one using plate insets and then some textures, and then the third one, which is the displacement, and then you can use textures as well. Let's see if we can use this for scatter. um, I think that, yeah, the only thing that affects the speed of random scatter is the resolution of the scatter object. So Control G. These are too high, but let's try B2. Let's try if it will. It probably won't. Oh my god, it's too high. Random scatter and B2. Oh, it worked. Let's see if we increase the points. Will it lag? Yes, it kind of slowly does. So before you use it for scatter like this, be sure to decimate it in order for it to be lighter. And let's use 90 and strict rotation. There we go. Okay. So I guess we can scatter it up to a point. I think we can do what I'm talking about is using the decimate modifier, but I think we can go to edit mode and selecting all the faces, press limited dissolve. Okay. So these are in Gungalar, but all the geometric details are still there. Let's see if it's lighter. Limited dissolve. So it works on angles, but it didn't affect this one. Limited dissolve. Okay, that's odd. Still too many faces, but I think this will be lighter. Yeah, 100. So if you're using the plate inset and if you separate it individually, that will be lighter for random scatter. Okay, so that is how you can, the different way you can work with random scatter to create buildings or city section. In this case, city blocks or city section. Then randomize it and then use it for scatter. You can use geonodes or this one here, the random scatter operator. They basically work the same way. So, and also it will, using geonodes, it will also slow down if your scatter object has too much resolution. So it's the same thing. Okay. Yeah. If you have any questions, be sure to use the comment section or the links in the description. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.